You wake up, you're thirsty. Clean water is only a few steps away. Within the same hour, you can order food without standing up, get a package delivered without leaving the building, and finish a workday without your legs carrying you past the kitchen. Technology keeps making life easier, but there's a catch nobody warned you about. The body you're living in wasn't built for any of this. It was built for a world where food had to be tracked down, water had to be carried for miles, and firewood had to be gathered by hand just to eat a warm meal or survive the night. Staying alive wasn't a phrase people used loosely. It was the actual physical task of every single day. So here's a question worth sitting with for a second. If the body you're sitting in right now was shaped by that world, just how strong were the people who actually lived in it? The answer, surprisingly, is strong enough that some prehistoric women left behind bones that outperformed modern elite athletes.
Let's start with something most people get wrong before we even begin. No ancient human ever laced up running shoes. None of them stepped into a gym, tracked macros, or followed a training split. The entire idea of exercise, movement done on purpose, separated from the rest of life, is shockingly recent. Historians trace its modern form back only a couple of centuries, largely to the Industrial Revolution, when machines started doing the heavy lifting people used to do. For the first time, large numbers of people had bodies with nothing physically demanding left to do, which is exactly when gyms and organized sport first started showing up. Before that, for almost the entire span of human existence, movement wasn't a hobby. It was simply the cost of staying alive. Now, picture an actual day. Not a special one, just an ordinary Tuesday tens of thousands of years ago. Walking long distances for food or water, carrying loads, children on hips, firewood on backs, meat from a kill for kilometers at a time, climbing, digging, hunting that might take hours before it ever became dinner, moving an entire camp because the land stopped giving. There was no separate box in the day labeled work out. There was just life. Researchers studying the Hadza, a hunter-gatherer community in Tanzania, have recorded them walking 9 to 15 kilometers a day, racking up close to 16,000 steps before most office workers finish their first coffee. What we now block out on a calendar and call leg day might have simply been Tuesday afternoon for someone collecting dinner. And this part isn't speculation. It's written directly into their bones. Bone is strange that way, constantly rebuilding itself around the work it's asked to do. Heavy, repeated strain makes it denser. Years of sitting still makes it, quite literally, weaker. In 2017, a team at the University of Cambridge ran CT scans comparing the arm bones of early farming-era women in Central Europe, women who spent hours a day grinding grain by hand, against the arm bones of living women, including Cambridge's own elite rowers, training twice a day. The ancient women's arms came out stronger, over 10% stronger than the rowers, almost 30% stronger than typical active women today. Other research across nearly 2 million years of human skeletons finds the same pattern. As tools and machines took over the physical burdens humans used to carry, the skeleton got lighter. Scientists call it gracilization. Less demand on the body, weaker bones underneath it. They didn't train to become strong. Their life did it for them, whether they wanted it or not. Here's where most people's mental picture of ancient humans falls apart. There's a default image a lot of us carry, hunched, grunting, dim-witted, something closer to an animal wearing a human shape than an actual person. That image is wrong, and it's been wrong for a long time. By the time we're talking about Homo sapiens, we're talking about a brain that had already reached the size range of modern humans roughly 300,000 years ago, based on fossil analysis from Jebel Irhoud, Morocco. Same species, same hardware we're running today. Stop and actually sit with that for a moment, because it's easy to hear a fact like that and feel nothing at all. It means somewhere on this timeline a parent watched their child take a first step and felt something catch in their chest. It means someone lay awake at night worrying whether their child would survive the season. It means two people sat close to a fire, said almost nothing, and were simply glad to be near each other. It means someone told a joke bad enough that the whole group groaned and laughed anyway. It means someone stood over a person they loved, gone too soon, and felt a grief with nowhere to put it. They planned, they hoped, they dreamed about tomorrow even on the days tomorrow wasn't guaranteed. None of that needed a phone, a calendar, or four walls. It only needed a human mind, the same kind you're using right now to follow this sentence. If a baby born 50,000 years ago were somehow raised today, there is no biological reason it couldn't grow up to become a surgeon, an engineer, or simply someone's ordinary beloved neighbor. The brain isn't what changed between then and now. The environment around it did. The world changed dramatically. The human being inside it changed far less. Which raises a strange, slightly fun question. What if we reversed it? Not a scientific claim, just worth imagining for a moment. Take someone built by a childhood of carrying loads, climbing for food, and wrestling animals twice their body weight. Drop them into a modern Olympic arena. What sport would actually fit them? Weightlifting, almost certainly. The gym wouldn't be introducing them to heavy loads, it would just be giving names and numbers to something they'd already done their entire lives. Carrying water, dragging firewood, hauling meat. Modern athletes train for a few hours a day. Ancient humans often lived it. Wrestling barely needs imagining either. Pinning down a struggling animal, reading a body's weight shift a half second before it moves. But those same instincts under stadium lights, and the only thing missing is a referee's whistle. Even the ultra-marathon has roots here. Some researchers point to the endurance running hypothesis, the idea that several human traits evolved for outlasting prey over long distances, not outrunning it in a sprint. A body built for that kind of patience wouldn't see a 100-mile mountain race as suffering. It might just feel familiar. Modern sports didn't invent these challenges. They just put them in a stadium, gave them rules, and started keeping score. So, should we actually go back to living like that? No. What we just described wasn't a wellness retreat. It was survival, under conditions most modern people would find generally terrifying for even a single week. No antibiotics if a wound turned septic. No vaccines. No emergency room if a birth went wrong. No sanitation to stop disease from moving through people living in close contact. All that hard-earned strength meant nothing the moment something small went wrong inside the body. And something usually did. A failed hunt, an infected cut, a predator that saw a human as just another meal. Researchers studying hunter-gatherer mortality generally put average life expectancy around 25 to 30 years. But that number is pulled down mostly by how many infants didn't survive early childhood. Anyone who made it past childhood often reached their 50s, sometimes well beyond. We tend to envy their strength. We rarely envy the childhood they had to survive to earn it. So here, finally, is the actual point of everything in this video. Somewhere in your body are bones, muscles, and a heart built by ancestors who spent their entire lives moving, long before anyone called it exercise. Every movement you make today is only possible because of the world they survived. The lesson from ancient humans was never go back to living the way they did. You don't need to hunt anything or sleep in a cave to prove a point to people who've been dead for tens of thousands of years. But there's one thing in all of this that hasn't changed at all. Your body. The body you're sitting in right now is still, structurally, mechanically, the same body shaped across hundreds of thousands of years of constant movement. Evolution didn't have time to redesign it for elevators and all-day screen time. It just quietly adapts to whatever you give it. Strong if you ask it to be, soft if you never ask at all. Once, people moved because they had no other choice. Today, we have to set a reminder to just move at all. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Not that ancient humans were better than we are, just that the body hasn't changed nearly as much as the world around it has. And somewhere underneath the comfort, the convenience, the chairs, and the screens, your body still remembers, in its own quiet way, a world that disappeared a very long time ago.